Alright everyone, welcome back. I can't make out anything of its shape or length. Maybe it's transparent to begin with. No matter how many times sparks fly from it, I never get a look at the weapon's profile. Parrying her strikes must be taking a lot out of the man. His movements aren't as sharp as they had been. It's the first sound the girl makes. She attacks all the more furiously. It's a merciless, unyielding dance of blades. The flying sparks remind me of a blacksmith striking iron. And the spear-wielding man continues defending himself as he disapprovingly clicks his tongue. Honestly, I can't help but to admire the man, even though he tried to kill me. He's able to defend himself from an invisible weapon, relying only on reading the girl's swings and footwork. But that's all he can do. When an opponent is so completely on defense, the only thing you need to do is beat them down. The girl steps in closer. She smashes down, striking with all her might. Seeing his chance, the man disappears. Or rather, he retreats back as if to disappear. The girl's swing cuts through the air and smashes into the ground, kicking up dust. Her massive swing, which seemed to be a fatal blow against the cornered spearman, proved easy to dodge. Even I could tell what happened, even at this distance. Her careful, precise attacks earlier may have worn the man down, but the tremendous swing meant to deal the finishing blow would never touch him. The relentless attacks must have put incredible strain on the man's body as he tried to defend himself. Yet he suppressed that pain for a single moment to jump away. He knew that her last attack would determine the victor. The man jumps back several meters, then comes in to strike once again the moment his feet touch the ground. He jumps in a triangular pattern, and leaps towards the girl as if revisiting his steps. The girl's sword is still embedded in the ground. It's a fatal opening. The red spear returns in less than a second. The girl twists her body around like a top, while her sword is still embedded in the ground. The whole thing happens in a matter of seconds. The man sees his mistake and tries to correct, as the girl uses this brief moment to use her whole body to attack. Both the man and the girl seem unsatisfied though. Both struck, intending to kill. Both survived, so everything leading to this moment was in vain. The two open a bit of distance between themselves. They both just quietly stare at each other. The strain the battle inflicted on them seems to be too much.
どうしたランサー？止まっていては僧兵の名が泣こう。そちらが来ないのなら私が行くが。
わざわざ死にに来るか。それは構わんが、その前に一つだけ聞かせろ。貴様の宝具、それは剣か？
He phrases his question so bluntly. He glares as if trying to look through her.
さあどうかな。旋風かもしれぬし、双剣かもしれぬ。いや、もしや弓かもしれんぞ、ランサ
ー。抜かせ、セイバ
ー。Somehow this conversation seems to be amusing him. The man called Lancer briefly lowers his spear. It looks as if he's saying he doesn't want to fight anymore. The girl seems puzzled by Lancer's move, but I know what his stance means. I remembered the fight at school a few hours ago. It's the killer move that was supposed to have ended the battle.
ついでにもう一つ聞くがな。お互い初見だしよ。ここらで分けって気はないか。悪い話じゃないだろう。そら。あそこでほうけているお前のマスターは使い物にならんし、俺のマスターとて姿を晒せねえ大ふぬけときた。ここはお互い万全の状態になるまで勝負を持ち越した方が好ましいんだが。
断る。あなたはここで倒れろ、ランサー。
そうかよ。たく、こっちはもともと様子見が目的だったんだぜ。サーバントが出たとあっちゃ長居する気はなかったんだが。
The air wavers. Their surroundings appear to distort. Lancer lowers his stance. A chill creeps into the air. The same thing happened earlier. Magical energy rumbles as it forms a vortex at the tip of the spear.
Hog.
The girl readies her weapon and glares at her enemy. I don't need to speak up. She knows very well how dangerous the enemy is. She is the one confronting him.
じゃあな、その心臓をもらい受ける。
The beast kicks the ground. Lancer appears in front of the girl so quickly he may as well have teleported. He takes his spear and aims at her feet. Even to me, that seems like a poor choice. I can't see any way an attack would be effective with the spear pointing at the ground in front of her feet. Apparently thinking the same, the girl leaps over the spear toward Lancer, intent on striking him down. But at that moment,
Gate!
his words alone radiate immense magical energy.
Bark!
The spear released from below angles toward the girl's heart. Her body hangs in the air. The blow sends her flying in wide arc. She smashes heavily into the ground. She's bleeding. She had been unscathed until now, but her heart is pierced, and she's bleeding profusely.
呪詛。いや、今のは因果の逆転か。
I'm just as bewildered. But watching from afar may have given me a better perspective on how bizarre the attack was. The spear had been aimed at her feet, I'm sure of that. But then it just changed direction, moving and stretching impossibly to pierce the girl's heart. And yet, the spear itself neither stretched nor changed direction. It seemed bizarrely as if the spear had been thrust into her chest from the beginning, almost naturally. It wasn't as simple as the spear changing its trajectory and piercing the heart. The spear didn't change course, it altered truth itself to make that happen. The moment he spoke the words and released his spear, the intent of piercing her heart had been realized. Essentially, his attack reversed cause and effect. The result of an attack piercing the victim's heart is predetermined, so the spear's trajectory is merely an afterthought to establish the facts. It's a demonic splinter that breaks through all defenses. The moment it determines the target, the spear pierces the heart every time it's used, without exception. How can anyone defend against such a completely insane attack? No matter what effort the target makes to evade, the spear will always pierce their heart, which makes it fatal. An accursed spear that always pierces the opponent when used. However, the girl evades by a hairbreadth. The spear did penetrate her, but it didn't hit anything vital. Her actions in evading the spear seemed even more impossible than the spear itself. The moment the spear was thrust, the girl turned and reversed the direction with an incredible effort of will and strength, as if she knew what was going to happen. She was either incredibly lucky or had just enough protection to dampen the spear's curse. I think it's both her luck and skill. Whatever it is, the girl managed to avoid the fatal blow and so survives Lancer's ultimate attack. The girl tries to get her labored breathing under control. Although she had been losing a lot of it, blood stops seeping from her wound, and even the wound itself is closing up. So this is what a truly extraordinary person can do. I knew she wasn't normal, but she is more than outstanding. In terms of her skills in fight against Lancer, in terms of the incredible amount of magical energy used for every attack, her body recovering on its own, she's obviously superior to Lancer. But that's only up until now. She may be healing even now, but her wounds are deep. If Lancer attacks, she won't be able to defend herself. And yet, even though he's at an overwhelming advantage, Lancer doesn't move. He audibly grinds his teeth, and he glares at the girl.
かわしたな、セイバー。我が必殺のゲイボルクを。
His voice seems to rumble up from the ground itself.
ゲイボルク。オウミはアイルランドの光の巫女か。
Lancer's expression darkens. His hostility dissipates and he clicks his tongue in annoyance.
ドジったぜ。こいつを出すからには必殺でなけりゃやばいってのにな。まったく有名すぎるのも考えものだ。
The oppressive mood lightens. Lancer no longer seems to have any intent of attacking the wounded girl. He turns his back as he walks to the corner of the yard.
己の正体を知られた以上、どちらかが消えるまでやり合うのがサーバントのセオリーだが、あいにくうちの雇い主は臆病者でな。槍が交わされたのなら帰ってこい、なんて抜かしやがる。
逃げるのか、ランサー。
ああ、追ってくるのなら構わんぞ、セイバー。ただし、その時は決死の覚悟を抱いてこい。
He lightly bounces off the ground. It's a wonder how agile he can still be, but Lancer jumps effortlessly over the fence and disappears before anyone can stop him.
待て、ランサー。
The injured young girl turns and starts running in pursuit.
バカかあいつ。
I cross the yard as fast as I can. If I don't stop her, she'll go after him and maybe get herself killed. It turns out I don't need to chase after her. She tries to jump over the wall, but the moment she crouches to jump, she doubles over and grabs her chest. I hurry over to check on her. Well, I intended to just approach and call out to her, but that went right out the window the moment I got near her. She is completely unbelievable. The shining silver armor she wears looks extremely heavy. The clothing she's wearing, dated as it is a bright and vivid blue. I've never seen anything like it. No, her clothes are not what really enthralls me. She is absolutely beautiful. Her golden hair, illuminated by the moonlight, is extremely fine as spun gold. Her face is graceful with a trace of innocence, and her smooth white skin all but glows in the moonlight. He really likes comparing her beauty to the moonlight. I'm speechless. Her beauty completely takes my breath away. Seeing a girl wounded in a fight made me absolutely furious. As I stand there gawking, the girl remains silent, her hand clamped over her chest. I manage to quit staring pretty quickly. She lifts her head and lets her hand fall from her chest, her pain seeming to have erased. She looks directly at me. I don't know quite how to respond to that gaze, but then I notice something.
傷がなくなってる。
The spear missed her heart, but it did pierce her chest, yet there's no outward sign of a wound. I've heard that there's a kind of healing magecraft, but she didn't seem to use anything like that. That must mean she can heal herself no matter how wounded she is. My mind switches gears. I shouldn't be gawking at her. This girl's unbelievable, and I absolutely should not let my guard down around her until I know who she is and what's going on.
お前、何者だ。
I take a half step back as I ask the question.
何者も何もセーバーのサーバントです。あなたが私を呼び出したのですから確認をするまでもないでしょう。
セイバーのサーバント。
はい。ですから私のことはセーバーと。
She says it so casually. There's a touch of contempt in her tone, but it remains mostly gentle. And hearing her voice makes my head go blank. Why the hell am I getting agitated?
そうか。変な名前だな。
I cover my burning face with a hand and respond stupidly. But I honestly don't know what else to say. Besides, how else would she respond when I just asked her what the hell she is? And it'd be rude for me to not respond.
俺はシロ。エミやシロって言ってこの家の人間だ。
There's something wrong with me. I'm saying the dumbest things. But well, she did give me her name. It's only polite that I give mine. I know I'm confused, but it's still important to remain rational no matter who I'm dealing with. The girl, Saber, just keeps watching me in my confusion. She moves not an inch.
いや違う。今のはなしだ。聞きたいのはそういうことでなくて、つまりだな。
分かっています。あなたは正規のマスターではないのですね。ね。しかし、それでもあなたは私のマスターです。契約を交わした以上、あなたを裏切りはしない。そのように警戒する必要はありません。
Crap. I hear her, but I couldn't be more lost. The only thing standing out to me is that she keeps referring to me as Master.
それは違う。俺マスターなんて名前じゃないぞ。
それでは素人。ええ、私としてはこの発音の方が好ましい。
The moment she said my name, I thought my face might actually burst into flames. Isn't it a bit more normal to call someone by their last name when you first meet?
ちょっと待て。なんだってそっちの方。
A strange sensation tingles through my left hand. The back of my hand is burning. A strange pattern appears in the back of my left hand like a tattoo.
それは霊樹と呼ばれるものです、シロ。私たちサーバントを律する3つの命令権であり、マスターとしての命でもある。むやみな使用は避けるように。
お前。
シロ、傷の治療を。
Her tone is cold now. It seems she's not focused on me, but something elsewhere.
待て。まさか俺に言ってるのか。悪いけど、そんな難しい魔術は知らないし、それにもう治ってるじゃないか、それ。
Saber frowns. I feel like I've said something that disappoints her.
ではこのままで臨みます。自動修復は顔面を覆っただけですが、あと一度の戦闘ならば支障はないでしょう。
あと一度って何を。
外の敵は2人。この程度の重圧なら数秒で倒しうる相手です。
Saber leaps over the wall effortlessly. Just like Lancer, she makes it look easy. And now I'm just alone in the yard.
外に敵？
I realize what she means as soon as I say it.
ちょっと待て。まだ戦うっていうのか、お前。
I move without thinking. I run as fast as I can toward the gate. I reach the gate, unlock it with trembling fingers, and jump out.
セイバー、どこだ？
I strain to see in the darkness. Clouds have completely obscured the moon, leaving it pitch dark. Now of all times. But I hear something nearby.
そこか。
I run to an empty pathway. It happens all in an instant. I see a familiar man in red and Saber fighting. Saber rushes him and breaks to his guard in a single sweep. She easily cuts at the man in red. Saber raises her arm ready to... But before she's able to take his head, incredibly powerful magecraft causes him to vanish. Saber doesn't stop. She dashes right at the person standing behind the man in red, and effortlessly negates the potent magecraft they'd unleashed. I knew she was strong, but this is just unreal. That was a sort of intervention magecraft way beyond anything I'm capable of. My old man might have been able to cast something with a bit of weight to it, but I'm not sure even a first-rate mage could cast something so powerful at the drop of a hat like that. Even so, Saber nullifies the magecraft as if it were nothing. The enemy must be a mage, which means this match's outcome is decided. The mage's attack doesn't work on Saber, and Saber drives at them mercilessly. The mage falls backward with a thud. The enemy miraculously dodges Saber's attack, but they can't move anymore. Saber corners the enemy and levels her invisible sword at them. My mind freezes. Maybe it's a momentary glimmer of moonlight, but I see then that Saber's attacking a human. I can't tell who it is specifically, but the image of Saber killing someone, their blood staining her hands, suddenly fills my mind. Saber moves in. She's going to slit open the throat with that invisible sword.
やめろ、セイバー！
I scream as loud as I can. Her blade stops cold. It's probably best for my sanity that I can't see her sword. But the tip of that invisible sword isn't wet with her opponent's blood just yet.
やめろ。頼むからやめてくれ、セイバー。
I glare at her as I speak. If I'm gonna stop her, I need to prepare myself to give everything I've got to do so.
なぜ止めるのです、シロ。彼女はアーチャーのマスターです。ここで仕留めておかなければ。
No, Saber has absolutely no intention of stopping. She only stopped because I told her to, but she still holds her sword at the ready.
だから待てって。人のことをマスターだとか言ってるけど、こっちは点でわからないんだ。俺をそんな風に呼ぶんなら少しは説明するのが筋ってもんだろ。
Saber doesn't answer. She just stands there staring at me.
順番が違うだろ、セイバー。俺はまだお前が何なのか知らないけど、話してくれるなら聞くから、そんなことはやめてくれ。
Saber is silent. She still holds her sword to her opponent and stares at me, her lips downturned in dissatisfaction.
そんなこととはどのようなことか。あなたはむやみに人を傷つけるな、などという理想論を挙げるのですか。
Don't needlessly harm another. Well, yeah, it's better to avoid conflict as much as possible, but I'm not so soft-hearted as to feel sorry for someone who's attacking me.
つまりあなたは敵であれ命を絶つなと言いたいのでしょ。そのような言葉には従いません。敵は倒すものです。それでもやめろというのであれば、令状を持って私を律しなさい。
いや、そんなことっていうのはお前のことだ。女の子が剣なんて振り回すもんじゃない。怪我をしてるならなおさらだろう。ってそっか、本当に剣を持ってるかどうかはわからないんだっけ。いや、とにかくそういうのはダメだ。
In that moment, Saber's mouth falls open in stunned silence. I don't know how much time passes with her just standing there like that.
で、いつになったら剣を下げてくれるのかしらね、セイバーさんは。
Oh, it looks like Tosaka is saved. The person who had fallen to the ground speaks up out of nowhere. Saber instinctively grips her sword.
諦めなさい。敵を前にして下げる剣はありません。
あなたのマスターは下げろって言ってるのに。へえ、セイバーともあろうサーバントが主に逆らうって言うんだ。
Saber grits her teeth, but she lowers her sword, loosening her grip a bit. She must have put her sword away or something because she seems suddenly much less hostile.
さ、なら立ってもいいのよね、私。
Whoever it was that's been on the ground finally stands. They act brazen as they pat the dirt from their bottom. Wait a minute. That's...
お前遠さか。
ええ。こんばんは、エミヤ君。
Ren Tosaka replies with the biggest smile on her face. This is unbelievable. I don't know what to think anymore. The way she greets me so casually makes me question whether everything that happened was even real.
いや、だからさっきの魔術は遠坂が使ったってことだから、つまり
魔術師ってことでしょ。まあ、お互い似たようなもんだし、隠す必要もないわよね。
Hearing her be so blunt about it makes me seem like an idiot here.
いいから話は中でしましょう。どうせ何も分かってないんでしょ、エミヤ君は。
As she says that, she walks towards the entrance to my house.
待て遠坂、何考えてんだお前。
At that moment, when Tosaka turns around, her smile has changed into something completely different.
バカね、いろいろ考えてるわよ。だから話をしようって言ってるんじゃない。エミヤ君、突然の事態に驚くのもいいけど、素直に認めないと命取りって時もあるのよ。ちなみに今がその時だと分かって。
She glares at me, and I can see an actual animosity in her eyes.
分かればよろしい。それじゃあ行こっか、エミヤ君のお家にね。
Tosaka walks through the gate.
なんかすげえ怒ってるぞ、あいつ。
Well, I don't blame her. Just a moment ago, she had a sword pointed at her, and she was about to die.
いや、それにしたって。
Maybe it's my imagination, but I think the Tosaka at school and the one I see right now are completely different people. That's because they are. It's a front. And this is just as weird as hell. Rin Tosaka, the most popular girl in school, the girl I admire, is walking in front of me, while a blonde girl named Saber, who calls herself a servant, is silently following behind me. The hallway feels like it's in a different dimension, but I can't stay a coward forever. I may still be in training, but I'm still a mage. Tosaka, who is apparently a fellow mage, is as bold as brass, so I have to hold my ground too, or else I'll look stupid. Though I can't really think of anything all that significant here. Like Saber is still following me. She keeps calling me master, and we've formed some sort of contract, which probably makes her kind of a familiar. I've heard a familiar is an assistant mages use. Most mages transfer a part of their own body into something else, then use it as their double. But typically, they're small animals. Things like cats and dogs are just easier to control. Some mages do use humans, but to do that, they need an incredible amount of magical energy to constantly feed into the human to control them. Doing that would require a mage to use over half of their own magical energy just to sustain the familiar though. So it's not exactly efficient. Familiars are supposed to be tools to help mages, which is why they usually use small animals who can be controlled with minimal effort, and so aren't any burden. At least that's what I was taught.
何かあるのですか、シオ。
ああ、いや、なんでもない。
Saber obviously looks human, and she is clearly superior to her master, that is me. I don't have enough magical energy to restrain someone, let alone the magic circuits to control familiars in the first place. Which means Saber is nothing like a familiar. She called herself a servant. I don't know what she is, but that man named Lancer and the man in red Tosaka has in tow are probably all the same. Which means Tosaka can also be called a master. I've already seen enough of her magecraft skills. I'm less than a fledgling, but based on what I've seen, Tosaka is probably worth 3 mages. Though there's really not much sense comparing any mage to someone like me who can only do strengthening. What's clear is that Rin Tosaka is an exceptional mage. In spiritually strong lands, there are mage family lines which oversee a given area. The Emiya family came during Kiritsugu's generation, so our family is essentially outsiders. That's why I didn't know Tosaka came from a family of mages, and I don't think Tosaka knew I came from one either. There are several mages in this town I don't know about. If that Lancer guy is another mage's familiar too, that means I've gotten myself in the middle of some sort of fight between mages.
へえ、結構広いのね。和風っていうのも新鮮だな。あ、エミヤくん、そこが今？
I should really just stop thinking for now. Now's the time to pay attention to what Tosaka has to say. I turn on the lights. It's already past 1 in the morning.
あ、寒っ。何よ、窓ガラス全開してるじゃない。
仕方ないだろ。ランサーってやつに襲われたんだ。なりふり構ってられなかったんだよ。
ああ、そういうこと。じゃあセイバーを呼び出すまで一人であいつとやり合ってたの？
やり合ってなんかない。ただ一方的にやられただけだ。
ふーん、変な見え張らないんだ。そっかそっか、ほんと見た目通りなんだ、エミヤくんって。
I don't know what's so amusing to her, but Tosaka walks over to the broken window. Tosaka picks up a broken piece of glass. She stares at it for a second. She cuts her fingertip and lets a single drop of blood fall into the window. What kind of magecraft is that? The shattered window begins to reassemble itself, returning to its original, undamaged state in mere seconds.
遠坂、今の。
ちょっとしたデモンストレーションよ。助けてもらったお礼にはならないけど、一応筋は通しておかないとね。もう私がやらなくともそっちで直したんだろうけど、こんなの魔力の無駄遣いでしょ。本当なら窓ガラスなんて取り替えれば済むけど、こんな寒い中で話すのもなんだし。
She says all of this like it's a normal thing. Her skills are just beyond my comprehension.
いや、すごいぞ遠坂。俺はそんなことできないからな。直してくれて感謝してる。できないってそんなことないでしょ。ガラスの扱いなんて初歩の初歩だもの。
たった数分前に割れたガラスの修復なんてどこの学派でも入門試験みたいなものでしょ。
そうなのか。俺は親父にしか教わったことがないから、そういう基本とか処方とか知らないんだ。